Hello, everybody. Wildman Z here for another installment of the Dark Phoenix Saga, which is one of my favorite comic book arcs. I have others, mostly from the 80s, some from the 70s, a couple from the early 90s, and, well, I shouldn't say that. There's a couple from the 2000s I really like as well, but this is really one of the first arcs or runs in comic books that I really enjoyed. The work of John Byrne and Chris Claremont, including the Dark Phoenix Saga. Pretty much everything by those guys I really liked, and I really enjoyed pretty much everything that Claremont ever wrote with X-Men, and I really need to go and read other books that he wrote, like The New Mutants, which I've only read a little bit of. There's a lot of good old comics, and so the good thing is that although modern comics are not to my liking, there's a lot of old stuff I can find out there. Not all of it I've read. And fortunately, a lot of it's available in Masterworks or in Epic or the omnibuses and so forth. So, I suggest for you people that, for guys that used to like comics back in the day, maybe you tried some new ones out and didn't like them, really look into Marvel's lines of all their reprints of old comics. They're doing a great job, and hopefully DC gets on board. They're not as good with it. But anyway, getting back to Dark Phoenix Saga, right now what happened is the Hellfire Club has been infiltrated by the X-Men. The X-Men get tromped, but make a comeback and soundly beat the Hellfire Club in what would be round two effectively, mainly from help from the Phoenix. The Phoenix has been seduced by Jason Weingard, who we found out is Mastermind, but she's sort of, the whole time she's sort of fighting him mentally. She's resisting his pull, and she finally breaks from being this character called the Dark Queen back to herself, we kind of think. So we have in this issue, which is number 134, great cover, where we have the X-Men on one side, the Hellfire Club on the other, Dark Phoenix, or I should say the Dark Queen in the middle with the Phoenix symbol behind her. It's a pitched battle in here. The X-Men make quick work of the Hellfire Club. Phoenix basically, as I talked about last episode, acts like she's going to put a whammy on the X-Men, but turns around and frees Cyclops in the process. He, of course, takes some people out. Wolverine gets involved. He takes out Harry Leland. Storm and Nightcrawler take out Shaw, and so forth, leaving the Phoenix to track down Mastermind, or with Jason Weingard, and she knows at this point that he's Mastermind. And so, and I have to reread this because I forget how he's able to amplify his power, if it's a mutation or training or if it's some sort of device. But she takes him, she basically expands his mind in such a way. You can see here a representation of his mind being expanded. It's put it a little closer. She says, you want power and knowledge, I'll basically give you more than you've ever had. And she blows his mind, literally leaving him. He's not dead, but you take it that his mind's been melted effectively. So that's pretty hardcore move there. And you're getting the idea that she, although she's not the Dark Phoenix proper yet, that she's definitely not the old Jean Grey. She's not the old Marvel girl, both in terms of, obviously in terms of power, but also in terms of her personality. And then the final scene, they make it to the Blackbird. That's their stealth craft. And they're flying off, and in the middle of it, she transforms, and she goes, hear me, X-Men, no longer am I the woman you knew. I am fire, I am life incarnate, now and forever I am Phoenix. And she explodes the Blackbird jet. Last panel, it's a real cliffhanger. Which leads you to the next issue, which has one of the best covers that I can think of, with Phoenix crushing the X-Men logo, which was really, I don't know if that's ever been done before. Look how awesome that is, though. So this is issue number 135. I've read this a million times, mainly in compiled forms. Now, I pick these open once in a while to go through them, but, the ink fades over time, and I like to pull them out and look at them. A lot of times I just flip through them and look at the ads and stuff, and then I read them in a nice bound form. But they're holding up pretty good. I've had these most of my life. And you can see here on the opening page, they show you a Blackbird exploding. Back in the day, they saved full panels for something really impressive. They didn't just put a big picture of a guy's foot or something. So all the X-Men go flying out of the craft, and they all Nightcrawler teleports down. Colossus uses his metallic resilience to land, and Storm picks up Psyche and Wolverine and helps them on down. But they get thrashed readily, one on the ground level by the Phoenix. She zaps them one by one. I think the one I really liked was she traps Colossus under a tree, and she's able to transform him from his metal form back to his human form. He's still pretty strong. He's kind of managing that tree just as a human. You take it, Cyclops is like an Olympic weightlifter, powerlifter type guy. He's naturally really built. They never show him he's not I work out. He doesn't have to work out. He's just a really strong guy. He's kind of like Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall would be strong if you know who he is. He deadlifts 1,000 pounds. He'd be strong if he didn't lift weights. Don't kid yourself. But she turns the tree to gold. It transmutes it to gold, and thereby crushing him beneath it. In reality, that would kill him, of course. But it's a comic book. Of course, they get rescued. The Phoenix is seen by other people, including the senator over there, who pops up. Senator Kelly. He pops up in some of the movies, and he's not a bad man. Senator Kelly is basically just somebody concerned about the presence of mutants. He wants them to register and so forth. He's not evil. But he ends up being very critical in later stories, as he does in the movies, with the Sentinel Project and so forth. Then the Phoenix goes on this rampage. She basically heads off into space, and anybody with sensors or sensing it, like the FF, they detect her going off into space. Doctor Strange, mystical forces light up. Spider-Man spider senses go off, and the Silver Surfer knows something's going on too. He's got some kind of cosmic power. The Beast comes. He's an Avenger. He sees something going off at the Avenger Mansion. He's on watch, but he says something to the extent of I have to find a panel, but something like, I'm an Avenger, but I'm really always going to be an X-Man. And he doesn't call the rest of the Avengers, which he really should have done, but he basically goes to help his original crew. He's still a mutant. Xavier's with the Angel. He knows something's up. I'm not exactly sure. He detects something psychically. He knows Jean's going off. Oh, here's a good advertisement. Here's ROM. A lot of people snap on this comic book. This was actually really fun back in the day. But Phoenix goes on a rampage. She goes through time and space, or goes through space at least. I don't know if she goes through time, but she destroys a planet that's habitated by sentient beings. She supernovas their sun to get more energy. She doesn't even care that it's habitated. It's implied that it's not accidental. She's just like, I need that sun. Too bad for them type of thing. Then she comes upon a Shi'ar battleship. The Shi'ar are kind of like the Krees. They're a humanoid race. I think they have a little avian DNA in them, but they there's some of them over here. Those are Shi'ar. They're in there with the Krees and the Skrulls. They're a humanoid race. They get along with humans pretty good. The X-Men have had some adventures with them at this point. They know the X-Men, but they see her and they recognize the Phoenix as the Phoenix. They don't recognize it as Jean Grey, and they engage with her, and she pretty much obliterates, she obliterates their craft. And Lilandra, who's the Empress of the Shi'ar Empire, who's on good terms with the X-Men, particularly Xavier, sees it, and she's basically like, she knows that's Jean Grey and the Phoenix, and she's like, basically, we have to do something here. And so the rest of the scene, the rest of the book, just these X-Men regrouping, hanging out with the Beast. Beast is like, maybe we can rig something up to slow her down and talk some sense into her. They don't know she's done all that in space at this point, and that leads up to the next issue, and I only got about a minute left, so I'll probably pick up here next time. I don't have a lot of, I have an old phone, so I don't have a lot of recording time, but I'm just doing this for kicks. Maybe some people will watch, but great cover again. So we're on issue number 136, and so we'll go a little bit more into this next time, but this issue is basically the X-Men, they confront her again. They have a little more preparation. The Beast has tech skills. He's not quite up there with Iron Man, but he's pretty good. And he devises some sort of a helmet to put on her headpiece that will fry her psychic abilities, fry her telepathic abilities, telekinetic abilities a little bit. And it comes down to Wolverine is the really great scene. He's got the ability for a second or two there to take her out. because he realizes he's the only one who would actually kill her, and she actually needs to go, but he just can't do it. And she, in that second, fries him. Well, on that note, I'm running out of time. I'll pick up here next time. We'll talk more about the X-Men, and Wild Man Z out. Take care.